We're back, and this time we're talking about Inscryption. Robert recommended it to me last time, and I gotta say, Robert, that was a fantastic recommendation.
I'm glad you liked it. I had a lot of fun playing it. I know it was, I think, like 2021's Game of the Year for Polygon or something, and I totally see why. So yeah, I mean, let's just get right into it. You want to talk about the parts that blew your mind, what you loved, what you hated, how it lived
absolutely.
up to the hype before I even recommended it, and so on.
Yeah, I'll walk you through my experience, because the way I experienced it, I think I experienced it the way that you should experience it, which is going in like completely blind. I didn't know what to fully expect, and there will be a ton of spoilers for this, but basically I went in thinking like this is just a roguelike card game, and it's kind of fun. Like, oh, it's got some new cards you can unlock, that's fun. You can upgrade the cards throughout the run, like, oh, I died, reset the run, so on and so forth. And then when I started like exploring the cabin more, I was like, oh, cool, there's like another layer to this. It's like a game within a game. And little did I know that my mind would be blown when I learned about the game within the game within the game, like how many different layers there was to it. And I think just calling it a card game is like almost doing it a disservice. It's like this like crazy, like weird, immersive experience that like deconstructs what it means to be a card game. I was like, what the fuck? So many times throughout it. My mind was absolutely blown multiple times. I think like my mind was blown like 3 times at least, because I was like,
Pre-checked.
yeah, basically. I was like, oh, how are they gonna, like, what are they doing now? Like, oh, it's just a different video game now. Like, I don't see that happen like ever, which was really cool. So I guess I was just gonna say, to like deconstruct my experience, like I went in and played it like it was just like that card game first, and I was like, oh cool, it's just in the house. There's the dude who kills you, and I was wondering, I was like, why is he taking a picture of me? Oh, okay, like I'm being turned into cards. And I ended up making this extremely busted like turbo card, because you can like pass the stats down of like other cards you had in your deck at the time you die. And I ended up getting a guy who was like tri-attack with 6 attack and 4 health for the cost of 1 blood. So basically, I actually have a screenshot of it. I can send it your way. But
oh yeah,
anytime I drew this card, it was just game over at the start of the battle, which is amazing. All that to say, though, that god damn, yeah, I'm just like struggling to like exactly like put into words how much it blew my mind. But when it transformed into another game, it blew my mind. When it transformed into another game again after that, it blew my mind. And then when they started doing stuff messing with my computer files, I was like, what the fuck? This is cool. This is very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you know about the maker of this game?
I don't really know much about the maker of the game. I know that Inscryption is actually made in Unity also, some foreshadowing.
Yeah.
And I do know or suspect that like they're being cheeky, and did they call themselves like the same name as the company like in the game? Because I know there was that whole like meta video thing where there was like this card game company that would like hunted down this guy.
Yeah, so I haven't played this game in a while, so I was like, oh, I gotta refresh myself on it a little bit, and I was like, like looking up some just videos about gameplay or the story. Help me remember like some of the puzzles that stood out, because there's a lot that goes into it. Like, it's not just a card game, it's a roguelite. And then on top of that, it's also, as you said, there's like an escape room element to it, like escape the closet or escape the car or whatever.
Yeah, one thing that really stands out to me was as you get further in the run, you unlock new tools from like different characters that you defeat. So there's like the miner or the fisherman. And one of those tools that you get, I almost never used because I was afraid to use it. But it ended up being the key to progressing, and it blew my mind when I learned of this. You can stab yourself in the eye, and you use this knife, and I think you can only get that knife from the Trapper, which is the third boss. And if you use this knife, you pluck your eye out, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. That sounds horrible. But it's like a last-ditch effort thing that you can do to like swing the scales. But once you pluck your eye out with this knife, you get the choice of a new eye, and he opens up this box, and one of the eyes is very obviously the right choice because it's glowing with like magical runes. So you pick that eye, and then all of a sudden you start seeing other stuff that you hadn't seen before. So you're like seeing the world through this like new magical lens, and like green lines are highlighted on things where they weren't before, and it starts pointing and like telling you messages. And I was like, holy fuck, this is so goddamn cool, because it would tell you to like go to this safe and enter this key, or like spin a clock at this angle to like get things to progress forward. So it's almost like through playing the card game and unlocking new stuff in the card game, you would then gain the tools to unlock new secrets in the escape room. And I found that to be like so fun. Like that was so cool every time it clicked. And Inscryption had so many moments where it clicked. It like made me feel smart, and I appreciate that, because normally I feel dumb.
Yeah, I think it did a good job of like presenting you with a puzzle that makes you feel smart, even though obviously it's the game designer's intent for you to solve that. But it's not like a free gimme, like, oh, this wall's a different color, wonder what's back here.
Yeah, it was like the right amount of cryptic. Because I was, like I said, I was afraid to use that knife, but when I did and I got the other choice, I was like, oh, and then I went, oh, like the levels of understanding deepened. And I think that's one thing that's really cool about Inscryption as a whole. The more you play it, the more like your understanding of the world and the systems deepen as well. Because as you move out of Act 1 and into Act 2 and then eventually Act 3, you start seeing like familiar faces or familiar themes, and having it all kind of tie together neatly was really interesting. I was like, holy shit, like that magical eye was from this character that showed up in the second act, and then this and that. I'm kind of bummed that they didn't like do more with the different systems. So, like, once again, this is like turbo spoilery, but we've already passed that threshold. In the second act, when you're walking around the world and you play with the different systems, you play like the undead like card game almost versus like the mechanical technology one and then the magic one. I was blown away when it shifted into the third act and it was all tech. And funnily enough, in the second act, I specifically spec'd my deck in Act 2 to be all tech, so I was familiar with tech. I had a tech deck, if you will. And yeah, and I was doing kickflips and shit with it. And I was potentially thinking that there would be another act after that where like the whole world is magic now, or the whole world's undead now, and they alluded to it briefly at the end, but they didn't go full in. But I understand why it's like it'd be hard, but I was like, oh man, this would be cool. I just want to play more of these card games.
Yeah. I'm trying to see. I feel like one of the other ads did something else too. I don't remember if it was like anything big or if it was like more of like an Easter egg, but I feel like there's something else. I'm looking it up right now, and I know that the goat eye makes the black goat like blush looking at you if you have the black goat card, which is funny.
That's cool. So much attention to detail.
But attention to detail is Daniel Mullins is the creator of it. That is like his bread and butter.
Nice. What else has he done?
Don't know. I think like Pony Island and the Hex were the other two.
Oh, I've heard good things about Pony Island. I haven't played that one, but I've heard good things about that one. That's another game that supposedly goes like off the wall and just messes with you and does insane shit, but I'd have to play it.
This game goes full alternative reality game.
Sheesh.
So you know there's a part where, and I'm trying to recall this from like the YouTube video that I watched. And so I know we're gonna kind of like tangent away from the game and the design and stuff, but this is just like such a cool thing about this game is there's a part where you're like watching Luke, right? Luke Carter. He's the main character.
Yeah.
You're watching his computer boot up, and it's like a Windows prompt. And if you hit Control-C while that Windows prompt is booting, it cancels it, and you can go through and look through different files on that computer.
What?
And yeah, I'll send you the video afterwards, and you can watch it. It's Game Theory did a whole video on it, or a couple of videos on it.
Yeah, Inscryption would be a good one to do on that, because it's just like a bunch of like hidden lore stuff.
Well, it goes deeper than that.
It's like an ARG.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the That stands for alternative reality game, right?
I think
Did I
so,
get that
or
right?
like alternate. I think maybe.
Alternate, yeah. Um, so I think the suspicion is that the ARG leads into um, a legitimate like place on like in the world to go to like dig up a file or something.
Interesting.
Is I only watched part one of the two
Okay.
part
Because
series,
isn't
so
that what
I'm
that's
yeah,
what Luke Carter did in Inscryption, right? Like he went to a physical
exactly.
location, he dug the shit up.
Exactly. And so you when you go to like try to open a file, it asks for a cipher. And then there's some part earlier in the game that like leads you to different ciphers you're like I don't even know like the way that you get the answers to the ciphers is not just going through the like the videos, the corrupted videos that he has.
Yeah.
Um Also like going to old games of his. So like one of them is like the word is I think a beeper or something. So you have to go um through the credits to find the beeper, to find the name, to find another character of that name in another game, and then somehow you can tie that back in. Then you use these ciphers, and then it like brings you to all these like different chat logs, and there's a whole nother story hidden
Jeez, what the heck
behind
is
that.
is this guy just like the Riddler or something? What the fuck?
Yeah, real life.
That's crazy.
So I'm intrigued just because it's like the attention to detail, and especially to
That much
have
like
solutions to
planning.
these puzzles. Right. I mean, I'd imagine that like you don't necessarily need to plan. You can just like look back on a game that you've already made and then kind of like engineer something from it. But that
Yeah.
doesn't make it any less impressive that you
Or
have this
what if he
convoluted
what
thing.
if he went in and patched that game to just add the mystique?
That'd be cool too. But I feel like he just worked with things that were like not
Yeah, it
uh
kind of reminds me of I didn't beat it actually. I played the parody game of it. It kind of reminds me of The Witness
yeah.
in that there's like this whole like meta commentary about like games and like being in the game and like what's real, and then like at the end some dude like waking up and it being like him seeing the world differently.
Yeah, there's different endings for how much of it you do. So it's like if you do the bare minimum, you go back to the beginning, and it's supposed to be like symbolic of like, oh, like you didn't really accomplish anything, you're back to where you started.
Ah,
Or there's if you do like all of the beams that go to like the tower at the top, then you get that ending about like questioning reality. And then if you do like every single puzzle or something crazy like that, it's a whole nother ending or something like that. I don't know. I played it because I just wanted those fun puzzles, and they were fun, but I didn't like. I would get to the point where like, all right, I'm done with it.
did you ever play
I
the
don't love.
did you ever play the parody game of it? I'd recommend it.
No, not yet, but I'm going to.
It was good.
I think I downloaded it already.
Hell yeah. Well, so I know that The Witness is meant to be one of those games that makes you question reality, and Inscryption kind of made me feel that way too. There was one part towards the end in Act 3 where you fight against a boss that's like, what were they called? Like the data keeper or something?
Ooh, yes.
That was like the coolest
Uh,
fucking thing I've
is
ever
it
seen.
Archivist?
Yeah, the Archivist.
Yeah.
That might be the coolest thing I've ever seen in a video game. The way that it made me feel was such a unique feeling. It
Walk us through that. Walk us through the game
Yeah.
mechanic here.
So they want you to show them files that meet certain criteria, and if you can't find a file on your computer that meets that criteria, they'll punish you. But if you can find a file that meets that criteria, they'll make the fight easier for you. So they wanted me to find like really old files, and then they wanted me to find really big files. So thankfully, like if I didn't find a big file, they'd spawn like a really strong beast. But if I found a really big file, they'd spawn a really weak one. I think I totally butchered that sentence, but funnily enough, I recently ported all of my files over to a new hard drive because my previous hard drive died. So like the properties on every single file said like created 2022. So I was like, ah, shit. No, 2023 even. So I didn't even have any files that were a year old. But thankfully, they still didn't punish me too bad because I was able to find something that was like 6 months old. But I was scrambling. I was going through my folders and I was like, fuck. And it got me thinking about like, I don't know, just like randomly having to like go through stuff on my computer and somebody being like, find me this. It's like a very interesting feeling. But then it got even crazier when they said like, hey, show me an image file. So I was like, oh, okay. I went into my Thundaga folder and just pulled up like a random, I think my Thundaga logo or something, or maybe like a random Twitch emote that I had. And then they were like, okay, cool. We're going to turn this into a card. But it's like flagged with this certain attribute that says like, if this card is defeated, the file will be deleted from your computer. I was like, oh, what the fuck? This is so cool. And then I was so scared at that moment. I was personally taken aback because I was like, they're gonna delete my file? No, I want my file. So I got like very defensive of my property.
Yeah,
it was really friggin' cool.
It definitely blurs that bit of reality, like you're saying, with the game. Yeah.
One thing I will say also about that, I was playing through Act 3 in like the tech world, and there was a certain attribute that I could get for one of my cards that made them stronger, and it was like one of my companion cards too. It made them stronger, but made it so that way if they were ever defeated in battle, they would be deleted from my deck. And I'm proud to say I completed the entire tech world not losing them. I kept good care of them. It turned them into like a 2 attack, like left and right, and boosted their attack by 2 or something. So I was like, this is fucking busted now. But yeah, man, I had to defend my property from the archivist.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's such a cool journey that it takes you through, and I love I think the Act 1 and Act 3 are they're still pretty different. I mean, they're the same format. You're across the table and from your opponent.
Yeah, and you can like get up and walk away from the table, and Oh, another thing that was so cool, getting up and walking away from the table matched the environments. So like I was familiar with that factory because I had experienced it in Act 2. I was like, and like going back to the house, I was like, I know all this.
Yeah, I do remember that. Especially like going through the house. It was really cool to go through that part in Act 2 and be like, oh, this is like the rest of it, and you could kind of like you could find the fisherman, and you could find other characters that you had come across on your journey in Act 1.
That was so cool. I was like, wait, the miner's real, the fisherman's real.
Yeah. Act 2 was kind of a snooze for me, to be honest. Like it was cool. I didn't really care for the top down like Pokemon type game, which I know is like blasphemy to you and any of your viewers.
Well, there is such a thing as too much Pokemon. I've definitely been burned out on it in the past, but sometimes I come back to it. I kind of agree, although I found it to be like an interesting enough change, but I think that part of the reason that I liked Act 2 was because I had a very different deck, and that kind of turned Act 3 into a snooze fest for me, because I was experimenting and learning new mechanics in Act 2, and then in Act 3 I wasn't. Although I guess the world of Act 3 was still kind of interesting. Act 3 was definitely I think the shortest of the acts, because I was able to just like speed run through everything.
Right. At that point, you're proficient.
Yeah. It became really fun, like just like speed running a lot of the battles. It got me thinking Inscryption as like a mobile app would be amazing.
Yeah.
Because those card battles, it was like that. It was so fast. It was so snappy. Like all the rules made sense. Do some PvP online Inscryption. Fuck.
I remember the original complaint was like, oh, after the first third of the game or whatever, it just like drops all of the mechanics that you learned.
That's bullshit.
I remember hearing people say that. I remember even telling you, have you played it? I think you'd like it. And you're like, no, my coworker said that they like drop all the mechanics after the first.
They did say that. And I was kind of bummed that they said that, because I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. The gate kept you from such a good experience.
Yeah, it was so good. And I appreciated Act 2 for it being so unique, and I also appreciated Act 3 for it being so unique and doing everything. I kind of like, if anybody says that they like dislike the game after the first third, like I kind of can see that, because like you like the escape room vibe of the house, but I liked all 3 acts personally.
Yeah, I think, I'm not saying Act 2 was bad. I was set in this like, ooh, it's creepy. I was playing it like about a year ago, maybe close into like Halloween season, right?
Yeah.
And so I was, I wanted that vibe. That's what I was looking for. And then when it changes to this like top down thing, I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like they're changing it up. I get it. We're playing the original game, and somehow, some way, I'll understand how I got to that that save file, which I thought was like I was already confused when I booted up the game to start with, and then it's like load game, and I'm like, I haven't played this before.
Yeah, that
It's
was
like,
so
load game.
confusing. When you first start playing Inscryption, it tells you to load game. I was like, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I just really liked that vibe, um, more than anything else. Sorry,
That makes a lot of
I've been on
sense.
so much throat.
I definitely can see people wanting to just play like the creepy roguelike atmospheric, and I can also understand that it's kind of tough to continue on when it feels like your progress is wiped and you're playing a whole second game. I imagine a lot of people probably quit playing at the start of Act 2 because it's like, what? I have to make a whole new deck now and I'm exploring this shit? Like, I wonder if there is like a nosedive. Well, maybe not a nosedive per se, but there might be a noticeable dip at that point. 'Cause, like,
Yeah, I mean,
imagine playing a game like Kingdom Hearts, right? And you get halfway through the game, and then it's like, okay, you're level 1 again, and you're playing a new character now. And you'd be like, huh?
yeah, I think it serviced the story perfectly,
It did.
and as you know, I'm very much a story gamer. You know, I like the story to be. If it's paper thin, it better be a damn fun game.
Yeah, or at
like,
least Paper Mario.
Yes, like Neon White was a perfect example of like the story was bare bones, but
Oh,
the
yeah.
gameplay was so damn fun. Like sometimes you just need a basic story to service the game, but in this case, I was like, the gameplay was fun, the vibes were good, or creepy or bad or whatever. But then, you move to this Act 2, and I'm like, okay, like where's this? I'm interested in the story, and I'm kind of annoyed that I need to like relearn the cards and go through and fight everybody, and I don't have. I had a super OP guy that had 9 attack, 8 defense.
Woo!
And I think he had like a 1 sacrifice
God
or something.
damn.
Um,
I'm gonna
like
send you.
he was absolutely busted. I wish I had. I can't find a picture
I
of it.
found my file of him. Here's mine. I named him
Ultimo.
I named him Ultimo. He was just
I'll see if I
death.
can dig through the files for mine. But so yeah, you know, like I was on top of the world with like an absolute monster.
Yeah, and
like
then to
that,
just like hard
right?
pivot away from that, it's like it kind of feels
Yeah.
bad, right? You become
bit.
attached to your deck.
Which is also part of like what they were going for, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you just had this ripped away from you because remember, at the end of the day, that wasn't even your save file. That was somebody else's save file.
Yeah. I think an interesting I do agree with what you're saying, and I think I felt that in my playthrough as well. There was a certain point where a switch was flipped in my brain, and I didn't care about the gameplay anymore, and I only cared about advancing the story. And I found it to be annoying that I needed to continue to do so many card duels to progress the story.
Yeah.
I think towards the end of Act 1, when I got this insane card, it kind of like invalidated a lot of the gameplay because I would just, if I drew him, it was like the duel's over before it starts.
Yeah.
So it kind of led to a point where I'm like, I'm just dueling to duel, or like, you know, and then in Act 2, it was all duels for the most part. I mean, there was still some interesting story advancements. I really, really liked what they did with the magician.
Remind me?
You go into his tower and you defeat his like apprentices, and there's a bit where he tells you to like not start a new game, I think. What does he say? Or no, he tells you that like the world will be ending and like everything needs to be deleted. But then he himself gets deleted at the top of the tower, so you're standing there like, what the fuck did he just say?
Yeah, I'm like vaguely remember that. But yeah, I know. Like the game definitely tries to like play with like you know you're playing a game and you know that everybody's getting this experience, but at the same time you get this feeling of like a very personal experience.
Yeah. It's tailored to me.
Yeah.
I kind of liked that a lot of the characters in the game were aware that they were in a game too. Very like fourth wall breaking, you know. And then like as the game is being deleted, it's like on the left side of the screen showing you a list of like all the assets like one by one. and like they're like telling you like, oh, we regret that this is the last few moments that we'll share together before our world is gone. And then like at the end, as you're dueling, like I think even just your hand gets deleted because that was one of the assets in the list.
That's right. Yeah.
And they're like, no more duel.
Yeah, I thought it was cool how at like the end, while everything's getting deleted, you get this kind of like almost like speed run through fighting bosses.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really cool touch.
Yeah.
So loved how the writing for the character dialogue was so good that I can't recall off the top of my head now, but I could totally see when playing Act 2 which cards in my hands corresponded to which scribe, right?
Yeah, it was very well like characterized, and I think my mind was blown when I just learned about like why the game was called what it was. It's like a game about creating cards and inscribing them. They're the scribes, and so they have different methods of inscribing or like the inscription of these cards. And I love that it all tied back to the fact that Leshy was taking photos to make cards, and he takes photos of you and he's turning you into cards. Oh,
yeah,
it was good.
Yeah, there's so many layers in this game that just
it's very
blow me away.
Very Onion-esque game. Inscryption. I was
Yeah.
kind of bummed that like after I beat it, I was like, what do I do now? Like I want to play more.
Did you do the Casey's mod?
I didn't.
Oh, did you know about it?
No.
Do you remember how like Casey Hobbs is like the last person to like try to like expose the game,
Yeah,
and then it's like then you find out that she's like dead, I think.
yeah.
Well, there's like this speed run, not speed run. I think it's like a gauntlet type game mode that you can play when you boot up the game. I don't remember how to unlock it or if it's just always on. But it's a free DLC. So
Okay, I'll have to look into that. I don't know if I even have it downloaded. Let me see. Do I even have Inscryption still installed? Oh, I don't.
that's okay. You'll install it in like 10 seconds.
Yes, sir.
It's not that big of a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we get into the boring stuff. Oh yeah, it's 70 gigs. That's not small.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, look it up afterwards, play it. I think if you liked the card mechanics, it's a good way to get more time with that, but the whole game is just I think it's such an incredible experience, so well thought out. As we said, really well characterized. I think it was cool to get different vibes. I felt so uneasy with Leshy just looking at me from across the table as I walked around the room. I would go next to him to like blow out the candles. Yeah. Everything and yeah, like you said, everything moved so quickly. Like the reason I don't play Pokemon anymore is because I hate waiting for things to like go, and so I don't want to go watch a bunch of Pokemon attack animations.
Yeah,
but
there is an option in Pokemon you can turn on to skip the attack animations. However, there's still so much fucking text. They take forever to just do anything because they have to send you like 5 paragraphs with each attack. Sorry, an aside.
and what I was gonna say about that too is I feel like even with them off, I feel like it's boring. I feel like I cut out a bunch of the art that goes into the game.
That's why you gotta play it in an emulator with a speed up switch. That's the best way to play Pokemon.
We don't advocate for that. That's piracy. That's illegal. That's like stealing a car.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't download a pizza.
I would download
I'd download a picture of a pizza.
I can't think of any of your mods, but I would download them.
Yeah, there you go. Pokemon. Some of them do have speed up switches in them.
Let's go.
You can press Q or whatever, and you can toggle between like triple speed and regular speed, so that way you can experience a cinematic at the way it's intended, but you can also get through the fucking annoying battles.
Yeah,
So that's the way to play. So do that in Inscryption, huh? Nah, I don't know. I don't know.
No. Inscryption is fast enough that it doesn't need it. That's what I loved about it.
That's right. It's so punchy, and all the sound effects and everything. It was nice.
I wanted to talk about how the sound design for each different act was so good. Like the act two where you're playing the original game, it has that retro feel to it. It nails it.
Yeah, it definitely did. I like how they had like moments where it almost felt like I was looking into a TV screen, like with like scan lines and stuff. Like it kind of felt almost like I was like looking at an old game instead of it was cool. It was very good.
Yeah. Act one had that good, like kind of low hummy, creepy music, and then even when you weren't fighting, the way they got the footsteps echoing in this like log cabin, it wasn't just like footsteps, but you felt like you were you felt isolated, even though you've got Leshy across, which is not really I wouldn't call him a very comforting person.
No, not.
Or presence.
When I first saw him, I was like, "Oh, he's just like this old
metallic."
guy.
Yeah,
I think
yeah, and then like
one thing that might rub people the wrong way. Sorry, this might be a total tangent, also, but
sure,
you're a fan of horror, and there's this thing that a lot of people say when talking about horror movies, where they appreciate the mystery, and it's not fun anymore when they show the monster, like. And it's almost like you kind of get that in Inscryption, where I appreciated like unraveling the world and dissecting more of it, but it every question does have an answer in this, and some people who might want to play it as like a horror game, they're not going to have that because it's not that. But like you start to learn more and more about like Leshy and who he is, and it's almost like at the very start of the game when he's only shrouded in like darkness, it's like the game starts off almost like it's a horror game. Because you don't know this guy's face. This guy's killing you. You're stuck in his house. It's like it is like a horror game at the start. And at the end, there's elements of horror too, because, some characters don't make it out.
Yeah. And I mean, and they do leave plenty of narrative mystery of like what happened to Casey. And then, of course, for all the people that are really into the ARGs, there's that whole thing that I kind of touched on earlier. But I know what you mean. I'm kind of in both camps. I think depending on the medium, you don't need to hide the monster. And I felt like this was an example of like it reveals at the appropriate pacing. And also on the topic of like horror movies and stuff, I loved that that a big supporting part of this was just like found footage. Even if it was like some dorky guy's YouTube channel.
It felt like VHS at times.
Yes, 100%, which is one of my favorite horror franchises, as you know.
I don't know why the car didn't stop. I mean... But yeah, I definitely thought it was funny watching him doing like YouTube intros, and I was like, I know that feel. Where he's like, hello, like, what's up, card gamers?
So basically us before starting this episode?
What? No, what? Never, what?
No, never. What? Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, is there anything else we want to talk about on this game? Do you want to give it a rating?
Yeah, so actually there's two things I want to talk about. I want to do the rating first, and then after that, we can talk about a bad review that one of my Steam friends left on Inscryption.
Oh boy.
They didn't like it.
Wait.
So I will give it a 9 or a 10. I think maybe 9. It blew my mind and did things that I didn't know games could do, and I appreciate that. And I'd like to see more games kind of like blow my mind like that. I appreciate so much of what Inscryption was going for, and just like immersing myself in the world of the game and just like being like hooked to this story. And I think once I completed Act 2 and got to Act 3, it was like already late at night, but I was like, I'm just going to keep playing. Like, I need to see this through to the end. Like, it had me like hook, line, and sinker, as they say. I think I already said that, but, we were talking about fishermen earlier. Hook, line, and stinker.
Got him.
But, yeah, I would recommend basically everybody play this if they're interested in video games and if they are familiar or comfortable with card games. I think like if you're not into card games, you probably wouldn't like Inscryption at all. but even then it has like a very cool story, and yeah, they do things that I've never seen other games do. I didn't even touch on it earlier, but there was the whole other fight where like they try to connect to the internet and like bring cards in from other players. I think it didn't work for me, unfortunately.
I remember that.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is going on right now? Like they created so many unique, like bespoke, like gameplay systems and elements that really just like show up once to blow your mind and then disappear, and you're like, what? They put in all this work to do one thing. Like, you're telling me this game had like online components this whole time? What?
And you utilize it for like a quick trick, a quick gimmick, basically.
Yeah, I was like, that must have taken so much work to make, and it's just like gone. I was like, that's really cool. So I appreciate.
I love that they commit to the bit in that regard.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate it a lot. So I will say 9, and I'll give it the official thumbs up and say I like it a lot.
Let's go. I think that's about where it sits for me. I think what kept it from a 10 for me was that second act was a little more jarring than I wanted it to be, like it was jarring, and that's not what I was expecting, and it wasn't what I wanted it to be. Although obviously once we moved forward, I was like, okay, this is what it needs to be, and that's fine.
Yeah, it definitely was like, I'm playing a whole other game right now, which like some people might not like, some people might like. I was just like, what the hell is going on? So I was enthralled.
Yeah. So I want to hear about your coworkers' reviews, because then I have a couple reviews that I want to share with you.
Okay.
Not about this game, but just on the topic of reviews before we move on to your recommendation.
Okay. So this is not a current coworker, but a past coworker. So I still had them on Steam, and they left a negative review, and they did not like Inscryption. Their review is: suffers from UX problems. Feast or famine, uncontrollable deck dilution, unskippable dialogue with murmuring instead of actual VO, confusing puzzles, roguelike genre but without any improvements on each run, no means of teaching or tutorial. Would refund it if I wasn't over the 2-hour limit. I think it just didn't click for them, and they maybe had bad luck or something, but there's some points in there that just don't make sense, because there are improvements on each run.
Yeah, also, I feel like no VO is not like a reasonable like complaint.
Yeah, I would actually prefer them not have actual VO, because like the character was meant to be terrifying, and like I don't know, I wouldn't be mad at murmuring. I don't know. This just seems kind of like a review written in anger immediately after losing a run.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
VO is hard, and if you don't do it right, then you kill the entire vibe, the entire atmosphere.
Plus the vibe, right? I think the dialogue was skippable. You could just left click and it would advance to the next line instantly. Because I saw the Trapper intro so many times.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not something that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
So take your word for it.
I think any UX problems might have just been intended designs. Like, the game is...
You can't start a new game. You have to start with somebody else's file.
So yeah, I just thought that was a funny one to bring up. We don't have to go too in depth on it, but it was just one of those things where it's like, maybe you misunderstood what it was meant to be from the get-go, and or maybe it just didn't click.
Yeah, that could totally be it.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of these other reviews you were talking about?
I can't find one of them. So
was it like in the Steam reviews?
No, it was like on a forum for us looking something up for Breath of the Wild, because I was playing Breath of the Wild with Ashlyn before Tears of the Kingdom came out.
That's cool.
And in the forums, I took a screenshot. Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that too.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody just like wrote this totally asinine review about Breath of the Wild, and I can't find it. If I ever find it again, I will share it with you, because I just thought it was so funny, and I literally screenshotted it to save it for the next time we record, so I can make fun of it with you. And apparently, I deleted the screenshot.
Interesting.
Hello? Why would I do that? The other screenshot, I was looking at pre-ordering Spider-Man 2, and it's 5 stars. Spooderman is the title, or maybe or maybe it's the user with the U, and then the title of the review is Copycat, and the body reads, It's a copy of Spooderman, and then in parentheses, Spider-Man is one of the best games. This was 3 months ago for a game that comes out in a month.
What the fuck? I feel like you shouldn't even be able to review games if they're not out yet. What the fuck?
I know, right? Right.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
Oh,
that
man.
was just a tangent on the topic of reviews.
That almost makes me feel like, you know how there's those YouTube videos where they're like reading insane like Yelp reviews or reading insane Google reviews?
Yeah.
I feel like we could totally like do a reading insane game reviews.
100%.
Because there's absolutely insane game reviews out there. That'd be fun.
I'll be done.
Hell yeah. I'm just reading the
All
Inscryption
right.
reviews right now, and they're all thumbs up.
Oh, yeah.
Except for
I mean-
my one friend who's pushed to the top of the list. Inscryption has over 90,000 reviews? What the fuck? 96,000? That's good. A lot of people play
Dude.
this game.
It's a popular game.
Yeah, it's a popular game. Oh, do you want me to segue into the next thing that's like frustrating?
Yeah.
Okay, hell yeah. Or should I recommend something?
Wait, what's frustrating related to Inscryption?
Well, it's a tangent into a big topic.
Oh, yes.
I would be
Let's do
frustrated
that.
as the creators of Inscryption because my game was
Yes.
made in Unity.
Yeah, let's do the recommendation real quick, and then we can jump into the Unity talk.
Oh, yes. All right. My recommendation for you, now that you've recommended me a game that's got some deep backstory to it, sometimes does a little fourth wall breaking. That's not to say that my recommendation does. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. But I think I said it in the last episode. I want to slowly but surely send you down the wormhole of like some story-based, turn-based RPGs.
Okay.
And I think an extremely good entry-level one that I actually think you would dig, and I would almost recommend that you even play it with Ashlyn potentially. I'm going to recommend to you Undertale.
Ooh, I've heard such good stuff about Undertale.
It's an extremely good game. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag because I think I may have let the cat out of the bag a little bit too much already. It's a game that I highly recommend you go in blind and that you don't look up anything when you try to play it. It's made primarily by Toby Fox, and I really admire him so much. He started his career making Earthbound fan games, or Mother fan games, you could say. And then he did some of his own stuff. He made Undertale. He made a second game afterwards called Deltarune, which is just Undertale with the letters scrambled. And he composed like all the music, and all the music is so good. And
Okay.
he now officially has composed tracks for Pokemon, like with Nintendo.
Wow.
So he's really climbed
That is
he's climbed the ladder, you know, from going from making like Earthbound ROM hacks to making his own like indie darling, and everybody like got the Undertale soundtrack. People love it so much. There's this great video after you beat Undertale. I would recommend you look up like they did like a symphony orchestra thing, and it's like so good. Like they did you know how there's those like video game, like they did it for like Zelda and like Final Fantasy also. The one they did for that is fantastic. But
yeah, absolutely.
without going too far into it and spoiling stuff too much, I think you'll like the story.
So luckily, I have a stupid brain because I've been spoiled on Undertale countless times, and I don't remember any of those spoilers.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
That works out really
Let's
well.
freaking go! Hell yeah! I'm
looking at this.
Oh, I was just gonna say
I
I have
just-
similar.
go ahead.
I have similar stupid
Yeah.
brains.
In the spirit of reviews, I'm looking at the Steam page for it right now, and the top reviews are: these puzzles aren't particularly impressive. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid. I have a couple of issues with the user interface. 10 out of 10 PC Invasion. If there's a criticism to be had, it's that sometimes Toby Fox doesn't know when to let a joke go. 10 out of 10, the Jimquisition. So I don't know if people are trolling or if this is like on theme for the game, but I just appreciated those.
It's good. It's good. I'll say that. Yeah. I think that a lot of what we said about Inscryption can be applied to Undertale. It's a game full of heart, literally and figuratively.
Is it difficult in the way that like Binding of Isaac is difficult?
No.
Okay.
It's a game that will occasionally like mechanically test you, but only occasionally, and even then it's very like
Sure.
minor challenges. For
Okay.
the most part, it's a game about choices and
Oh no, don't tell me that.
and understanding the direction. No, I don't know. That's even then that's not correct.
I love and hate choices matter games. I see the tag on it now because
It's
I'm always pressured to make the right call.
I would say don't worry about that.
Okay.
It's a game that's not too long also, and it does have multiple endings, and it's one of those games where the way that you acquire the endings is kind of like based on the entire playthrough. So if you are interested, you could play it a second time or just look stuff up online after. I don't want to tell you how to play though. I would say listen to your heart. Just listen to your heart and play whatever, and don't worry too much about repercussions.
Okay. I mean, I appreciate when something is like tailor made to me. So I'm excited for something that's going to kind of give that experience. Because like remember we went to that one lecture in college that's about like choices and making choices that matter, and I think it was Mass Effect. There's like one choice where you pick between like one faction or another, and literally all it does. Or no, I don't know if that was the one, but people were talking about.
Yeah, like
Maybe it was like
impactful
you choose a faction and then it's like, oh, it's just like the color of the banner for you. Kind of like I think the same thing applies in BioShock Infinite, but for BioShock Infinite, you like choose something for her necklace. I don't remember what it was exactly.
Yeah, I would say the choices in Undertale are more like the choices in Guardians of the Galaxy, where you make something early on and you don't even fully understand the scope or impact of it, and then later you're like, holy shit, that thing had a setup and then a punchline.
I see. Okay, cool. I'm excited about it.
I recommend it, and turn the volume up when you play it, because god dang, the music is good.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Alrighty.
And actually, there is
yeah.
one more thing.
Oh yes.
After you play Undertale, for PogJam 3, there was a parody game of Undertale made called Under Your Bed, where I'm the main character, and I go around farting on people. But it's set in the world of Undertale, so you could go play that. I recommend it.
Is it not set in the world of real life? Because I feel like that's exactly what it was like when you would sleep over my house growing up.
Well, it's based on a true story, let's just say.
Checks out.
Hell yeah. I would definitely recommend that, though. It's good.
Fantastic.
It's all good.
I'm
so many good games.
Very much looking forward to it.
Hell yeah. Well, let me know how you like it.
Yeah. Next episode.
Yeah. That'll be the next one. Well,
Sweet.
We can segue into this Unity talk now.
Yeah, let's talk about Unity now.
Everybody likes Undertale, but not everybody likes what Unity's done recently. It's so...
What has Unity done recently?
Oh my gosh. They've kind of been on a downward spiral as of late. A lot of people talk about how features that they introduce are buggy and then they don't fix them. And they've been making a lot of like kind of baffling business decisions. And yesterday was the most baffling of all, causing essentially all the developers to want to abandon Unity. They've toyed around with the idea, and I think that they're still going to do it. I don't know if they're going to backpedal on this. They want to start charging developers who sell above a certain threshold based on the number of in-game installs. And yesterday, they said that they would charge like 20 cents if people are paying on like for the lowest version of like professional Unity, to like 1 cent if it's like enterprise for Unity. But charging the developers based on installs is kind of insane, and they were saying that like reinstalls would count towards this. So if somebody like uninstalled and reinstalled over and over and over again, it would continue to charge the developer. They've backpedaled on that today, saying that that's not the case and it'll be like one per. But like, nobody really wants to trust Unity in this regard. They said that the way that they would track the installs is through their own like proprietary software. So like, the source is just trust me, bro.
Right.
It's so baffling. And there's a lot of indie developers out there who've released games that have gone on to sometimes be like big hits and get like millions of installs. So if you release a game for free, I think so. This would only be for paid products, also. I think, and the idea was for them to like take a bigger piece out of like the larger players. Because I didn't realize it. Pokemon Go is made in Unity. And games that are like fucking massive. Like, are you familiar with Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail?
Yeah.
So
Genshin Impact.
So those are both made in Unity. Those are both made by the same company. It's like MiHoYo. They're like a massive like Chinese studio. And the idea would be for them to try to like take a piece out of the pie from the big players, but it's kind of having the unintended effect of making everybody fucking pissed, and smaller studios and like indie developers in particular are looking at this and they're like, oh, why would I ever want to use your software now? Because some people were crunching the numbers. They said like if I get 1 million downloads, I'm gonna have to pay you $200,000 or something. It's like, what the fuck? There was one dude named Danny who's done a lot of good stuff. He's the guy who made Crab Game, and he also made a game called Muck. And together, both of those games had like 28 million installs. And he jokingly sent a tweet that was like, "Oh, I guess I owe Unity 5.6 million now." But it doesn't work retroactively though. It wouldn't be like for past installs. But then it's like, hypothetically, if we lived in a world where that system was already in place, he would owe them 5.6 million. And those games that he released were free, I believe. Crab Game was a free download, and Muck, I believe, was a free download. So like, charging people, it's horrible. And then there was another thing too where people were talking about charity bundles, and they're like, well, what if people get my game in like a charity bundle or like Humble Bundle, and or even Xbox Game Pass? It's like, what the fuck? Like, just basing it off of install is so insane. And I'm hoping that they reverse this decision, but I also think that like everybody is just abandoning Unity because they threw out this idea in the first place. Like, if you're the type of studio or company to think that this is a good idea to bring public, it's like, even if you backpedal, it's like, fuck you, the damage is done. Fool me once.
Yeah, no, totally. It's absolutely loss of trust. Straight up.
Yeah.
So I can understand not wanting to like trust to go back in and use their platform at all.
Yeah. The current Unity CEO actually has been in hot water before. He was a former EA exec, so a lot of people already dislike him. His name's John Riccitiello, and an infamous quote from him like a year ago was saying, if you're developing a game and you're not thinking about monetization during the development, you're a fucking idiot. He specifically said that. He used the words fucking idiot, and people are like, okay, well, like, yeah, if I wanted to make a fan game or anything for free, I guess I'm a fucking idiot.
I mean, that's kind of like the same thing around Reddit, where the CEO was like, we're not going to stop trying to monetize until we make money.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's cool, but like, you know how that's going to go, right?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that this happens so much, where it's like the needs/desires of the user, or we'll say the consumer, are at odds with the capital generation of the business, and when the priority is the capital generation over the consumers, you end up shafting the consumers, and then it turns into this whole thing where it's like, well, why would I use this service in the first place? Let's just go somewhere else that's not shafting me. It's wild.
Yeah.
I kind of want to just do Unreal stuff now.
I'm doing some research on this as well, and I'm just going through like the games subreddit, seeing what people are saying.
Yeah, here's a pretty good article about it. I linked it to you.
Yeah, what I'm seeing is Unity says that this will only kick in after a certain threshold, which is like the threshold's probably going to be minor or minimal when you consider like an actual an actual studio.
Yeah, I think the threshold was 200,000, but then it's like
not a lot for an indie studio to be moderately successful with.
Yeah, because then like what if you have 3 people, 4 people? Like, are they making like 50,000 a year? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, because I think ultimately, like, like installs is one metric, but then purchases is another because you're talking about Game Pass, you're talking about Humble Bundle and stuff like that. Like if you think about 20 cents per purchase, you're like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about other things where like I didn't pay a dime to play Death's Door. I just got it through legally.
Really?
I'm not.
Or what
Yeah,
if you
I
do
got it
like
through Game Pass.
or there's like the Epic store, where they do like the free games every like
Yeah.
is that screwing
Yeah.
people over now?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. This article from 15 hours ago, I'm just reading the headline here because I don't have the time to sit through and dissect this, but it says Unity silently removed their GitHub repo to track license changes, then updated their license to remove the clause that lets you use the TOS from the version you shipped with, then insists games already shipped need to pay the new fees.
Yeesh.
Yeah, so it's like it's such
Yeah.
a mess.
If they could like go in and just retroactively fuck with people, then that's so horrible. I saw a thing that was really cool about Unreal where apparently they don't honor whatever the current like end user license agreement is. They honor the one that you signed. So for developers, I believe it's like if this is the deal and you agree to the deal and then they like change license agreements down the line, it's still like, well, the one that you signed is what applies to you. Like Unity's trying to do the opposite. They're like, well, fuck it. Well,
Right.
Oh man.
Unity saying, well, you signed, but it hasn't shipped yet, so that's what you have to go with.
Yeah, and also pay me.
Which is shit. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the list of some of these games that were made in Unity, and it's kind of mind blowing. Cuphead was made in Unity.
Uh-huh.
Hollow Knight, Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori and the Will of the Wisps as well. Pillars of Eternity. I did know that Obsidian works in like
I knew that too because that I applied to do QA on that, and Connor was telling me about how that's what they worked in.
yeah, they use like a heavily modified Unity, but so even then, are they gonna fucking? Valheim was made in Unity. Outer Wilds was made in Unity. Risk of Rain
Yes.
2. That's a good game. Pokemon Unite was made in Unity. I didn't know that.
Hmm.
Yeah, so many different games. There's a lot of good games in here.
Yeah.
Return of the Obra Dinn. You played that one, right?
That was such a fun game, dude.
Man,
Future Rec, for sure.
yeah. But now imagine all those developers if they never made any of those games because Unity was trying to nickel and dime them. It sucks. All these people. I saw a funny comment where people were like, the CEO of Unreal or Epic, they're just giddy with joy this whole week, like everybody's talking about going over there or Godot. That's another
Yeah.
I haven't used Godot ever though.
I thought, oh, you know what? We use Godot at work because we couldn't get licensing for Unity. We did it to make some educational games to share as like a community outreach thing.
Oh,
That was
that's
pretty
cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I need to learn some of these other things now.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that GoGo Beast is going to get that many installs, and there's no way that it's going to generate that much revenue at all. I just kind of want to put it on Steam to put it on Steam. But let's just say I'm losing Steam at the prospect of moving forward with Unity.
Yeah. That's rough. Which also, Go-Go Beasts is super fun. I can't wait to see what the next iteration looks like.
The next iteration is going to be cool, man. I'm putting in some stuff to make it more like, I don't know, like you're always moving forward towards a thing, like you're always generating like currencies and revenues and all that shit, just like Unity. But I'm trying to take inspiration from the Chow Garden in Sonic Adventure 2. Did you ever play that one?
No, isn't that game just not fun?
Some parts are not fun for sure.
No,
But
no, that's the Meg 64-bit.
oh,
It's like, don't play
Sonic,
Sonic Adventure 2. That game's just not fun. Or no, that's Star Fox Adventures.
Star Fox,
That
yeah.
game's just not fun.
Yeah, Sonic Adventure 2 is the one that has City Escape that's like running around at the speed of sound. You know that one?
Yeah. I do.
It has a whole like mini game where you can like pet and take care of your beasts, and I'm like, I want to do that because they actually haven't done anything like it since. And every time anything Sonic comes out, all the comments are just about Chow Garden. Funnily enough, actually, they just the other day announced that they're doing more DLC for Sonic Frontiers, which I didn't realize that they were still working on that game.
I don't know why, but sure.
Yeah, that game came out so long ago, and I actually played it, and it wasn't that great.
Yeah.
But they're doing like free DLC with new stories and new playable characters and everything, and I'm like, okay, so it's like
Maybe they can No Man's Sky it.
I think they're trying to.
Yeah.
But all the comments were just like, this is cool and all, but like, where's the Chow Garden?
Yeah.
That's all anybody wants. You just want to feed a little dopey guy a banana and pet his head.
It's
Just real life.
fair.
It's just real life.
All right. I want to move on to just touch on some games that I've been playing and have enjoyed.
Yeah,
And
what
then
you
I
been
want
playing?
to swap around. So I've flown through a few different games.
Yeah.
I played Journey with Ashlyn.
Ooh, how was that?
I only ran into one companion, and I knew that companion was like a real person, but they didn't. I didn't even like run into them. They just like loaded in as I was loading out, so I technically met them on my playthrough.
Oh.
But the concurrent players is so low at this point in time.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a
that
game
just, yeah.
I've still
But
never played Journey.
It was fun. It was a really fun game.
Hell yeah. Was it kind of short?
Really simple. Yeah. We knocked it out in one evening, couple
Okay.
hours. Pretty relaxing. Very.
Awesome.
Very aesthetic. It was a good time. We got a dock for my Steam Deck, so we hooked up to the TV
Ooh.
and just played it on the TV.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So do recommend. Maybe not like a podcast recommend, but like if you want a chill evening.
Yeah, I
it's a good way
definitely
to do that. It's a
I
good
love
thing to
chill
unwind
evenings.
with.
That was the
Yeah.
reason I recommended a short hike.
Yes.
Originally, because that was like a chill game you could play in an evening, and that one was actually made in Unity also. But yeah, I love that kind of vibe. So yeah, Journey. They made other games, didn't they? They made Obzu. I think I have that.
I don't think I thought they made Obzu, but then I looked it up and I don't remember seeing it on their thing. But Obzu was also that same type
Yeah.
of game. Super fun, super relaxing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We also played Donut County, as I mentioned earlier.
Hey, how'd you like that?
Yeah, it was fun.
It's super short.
It's
so
not much
simple.
of a. Well, it's also not much of a game. It's more of like I would say closer to a visual novel.
Yeah.
Which that's not a knock on it. It's just very simple. Pull things into the hole and have fun, and then
Yeah, I found that to be like a
get
simple
a
evening
story.
game too.
yeah. So we knocked that out during.
Isn't
one of
it
Nora's
crazy that Donut County is made by the same dude that made Neon White?
Wait, what?
Yeah, they're both games by Ben Esposito.
I didn't realize that Ben Esposito made Neon White.
Ben Despacito. Yeah, there's a really
Despacito.
good interview that he did about Neon White that I listened to. Yeah, I think he just went from Donut County into Neon White. I was like, this is cool.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that he did Papers, Please, right?
No, that was
No?
Papers, Please was somebody else. I know that's one of those, like, a game by... Who did that? Lucas Pope did Papers, Please.
Oh, I'm mixing people up. Because he also did another game that I played recently. Lucas Pope did.
I've heard that name.
Overdone.
Oh,
That's
he
why.
did that. Okay, yeah.
That's what I was mixing up. I thought he did Papers, Please, and I thought it was Lucas Pope who did Papers, Please and Donut County. But okay, now I got it all straight. Yeah, that is crazy that he did Neon White and Ben Esposito, not Lucas Pope.
Yeah, they did.
Did,
he did
both of those games.
They did Despacito.
Yeah. I also just beat the first Guacamelee, which was fun.
Ooh, yeah,
That last boss fight was kind of tricky.
yeah. So, what'd you feel about that game?
It was fun. I feel like I'm excited for the second one. I don't know if the second one really elevates it or it just kind of.
It might
A
be more
sequel?
of the same. I actually
Yeah.
bought the second one and haven't played it yet, but I loved the first
Yeah.
one. I mean, I'm a Metroidvania lover.
Same.
Have you maybe next time? Maybe I should recommend you a Castlevania game. Did you ever play any Castlevanias?
I only played like one when I was a kid on a Super Nintendo, and I never actually I just played the same level every time I went to my mom's friend's house.
Oh man, I love Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. It was a DS game, and in it you play as Soma Cruz, who's one of the like reincarnations of Dracula, and his whole shtick is that every time he defeats enemies, he has a chance to absorb their soul, and you can equip souls. So it's just Go-Go Beasts,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
in Castlevania form.
Or Kirby.
Yeah, that too. She sucks him up. He goes.
Yeah, I liked Guacamelee. I feel like I'll play the second one eventually. Maybe I'll play it with Ashlyn. We'll do
It's
like
got
a
good
couch co-op
music.
night.
It's got a good like art
Yeah.
style.
Yeah, it's
I like
funny.
how they like color coded things, and I in particular really enjoy or remember enjoying that like your traversal was also like useful for combat. Like you had like an
Yes.
uppercut, which is like, oh, now I have a high jump.
Yes, especially because you get that before you get your double jump. Yeah, I mean, I think what I disliked about it was I felt that the color coded blocks they weren't like natural to the environment, so it just felt kind of lazy. Whereas if you look at like Ori and the Blind Forest and other Metroidvanias that have come out in recent time, they find a way to make it feel like a part of the environment, but still use that color as a language.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I mean, it was a super fun game. I had a lot of fun playing it. I'll probably play the second one, like I said, but I'm not in a rush to play the second one.
Okay. Well, hell yeah! I'm glad you played that. Damn, you've been playing a lot of games.
Yeah, speaking of Metroidvania or Metroidvania-esques, I've been playing a lot of Jedi Survivor. I haven't beaten it yet, but I think I'm close to the end. And that game, hot damn, you still have to play the first one.
Yeah, I do.
This game, it's like, go ahead.
So you said it's Metroidvania-esque?
Yeah, like you get dropped into this like 3D area, and so in Jedi Survivor, you just start off with basically every single mechanic from the first game.
Interesting. That's cool.
And then they still find new abilities to give you in the second one. I'm like, I already felt super powered in the first one, and now I'm only getting stronger and getting more abilities and more ways to maneuver and stuff. It's such a fun game.
That's cool.
I don't think it's like game of the year, but it's it's cool for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you'll go somewhere and then on the map it'll show like a red thing that's like, oh, it's a locked door, or oh, this is a thing that you can't interact with yet. And then once you get the ability to interact with it, there isn't necessarily like a color coding for Jedi Survivor. Maybe for like one or two things, but it's more like, oh, these green screens are just, I can do this with them. Trying to not spoil anything there. But like it's like a consistent thing that feels very natural to the environment too.
Okay.
For the most part. So it's fun. The combat is fun. It's got that Soulsy feel without being too hardcore on the Dark Souls punishment. Like if you fall off of a ledge or you get killed by like an insta-kill environmental piece, you don't die. You just respawn with less health. So it's a bit more forgiving.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, but it's got like the bonfires mechanic where you can rest to reset. But what's cool is you don't need to rest at every single bonfire, which I don't remember if that's how Dark Souls works. But like if you go and you use a meditation point, you can choose to rest and reset everything, or you don't have to. You can just like level up your abilities and keep moving on.
Oh, I see. Yeah, Dark Souls doesn't work that way. In Dark Souls, it's like you get the heal and the refresh when you choose to sit, but that also resets all the enemies. Yeah, and that's how you level up. So it's like every time you sit, you're opting into that. I recently played a little bit of Dark Souls 1 again, and I rage quit and uninstalled. But then I bought
I did the same thing a few years ago.
I went and then bought Dark Souls Remastered afterwards. Also, I was playing the original like Prepare to Die edition, the one that like was like a really bad
a mod
PC
to make
port.
it work. Yeah.
Oh man, it was stupid too. The way I died was I got killed by one of those like basilisk things that like breathe like the cursed smoke on you, and if you die to that, you're cursed, and that means your health bar's cut in half.
Yep.
Until you go to a specific NPC and buy a purging stone. I was like, dude, this is so fucking... Ugh.
Yeah. There's so much about that game design where I was like, this isn't for me.
Well, I'm glad to hear that Star Wars can kind of embrace some of those and like streamline some other things.
Yeah. And it's challenging combat.
That's good.
It's not just like hack and slash and whatever.
One thing, or one game that's coming out very soon. Have you seen this at all? Has this been? I'm doing a Jay Leno. Have you seen this? Have you heard of this? Lies of P. That's the.
No. I saw it on the games subreddit, but
it's
that's literally what I've seen.
It's basically Bloodborne Pinocchio.
Oh,
So
boy.
the P is Pinocchio. And
Oh.
it's embracing like the original version of the story, not like the Disneyfied kid-friendly version of the story. It's one about like killer puppets, and it's like like very grim and dark and like very Bloodborne-y. I'm trying to think like gothic horror kind of vibes.
Okay.
And it looks
I love the Bloodborne aesthetic.
yeah, by all
Oh,
accounts it looks really good.
this almost seems a little bit steampunky in the way that Dishonored is.
Kind of, yeah. Like, I've seen footage of a boss that you fight who's kind of like a stumbling robot. So yeah,
Okay.
I think that game looks pretty interesting. That's on my radar. I actually still haven't beat Bloodborne yet though, so I'm a fake gamer.
Oh,
Maybe I'll play that at some time. I don't know.
I'll put this on my wish list, but I don't know if it's like hard. Then I'm like probably not in for it.
Yeah, it might be hard.
Like I'm okay with the challenging game, but like if it's Dark Souls hard, I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm saving all that effort for Elden Ring whenever you make me play that.
Elden Ring's good. Elden Ring's interesting too because it's one of those games that's like you can make it very easy for yourself. Like
Yeah,
there's
I'll probably be
there's
doing a
ways
lot
that
of
you can
guides for it.
explore the world and then find stuff or like just do stuff. Like there was one video I saw that was great where it was like dissecting Elden Ring stuff, and they said easy mode in the game is just being a magic user.
That's what I've heard. So yeah, you said I've been playing a lot of games.
Yeah, what
The
a
one I did leave out is Tears of the Kingdom, of course.
Ooh.
We spent a good 115 hours on that game.
Ooh.
That game had me like I got in line at GameStop at like 8 o'clock to go pick it up at 9. I saw Sean from Mega 64 there, and I was just like not gonna bug him because this man's just here to live his life.
He's just trying to play
And
some Zelda.
if I were like in a regular environment, I'd not that he's like an A-list celebrity, but if I was like in a regular environment, I'd probably like approach him like, hey man, just want to say I'm a fan, appreciate your stuff, been watching it since I was like 15 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But in that circle, if I were to approach him and he had his hat and he was looking down at his phone, he was like with his son, I'm like, he doesn't. This would be the place where that would draw attention and would actually disturb him, and he'd be pissed at me. So I let him be, but it was funny to see him there. But yeah, I picked it up, got in line at like 8, at like 9 o'clock, grabbed it, got home. I literally took the next day off from work. I told my team, I'm like, I'm playing Legend of Zelda. I will be out of office. I'll see you guys on Monday. And they're like, cool, have fun.
Oh, that's so cool.
Every moment that Nora was asleep, we were playing that game. And it, like, there would be meetings where I was like, all right, I'm kind of like listening on this meeting. And I'd like go and I'd like, Ashlyn would play and I'd just kind of like watch in the background while I was like working and multitasking. It just lived in my mind for like the first 75 hours. And after that, I was like still into it, but not like as obsessively. So that's 115 hours. We're not even close to being like, we didn't do all the shrines. I just wanted to get done with it. Cause Drew wanted to play it. I wanted to play Jedi Survivor, which I put off after I got it, funny enough, but super fun game, you know, like I can't wait for you to play it.
Hell
and
yeah.
we can talk about
That's
it.
like at the top of my list. I feel so guilty about not playing it. I think I've told you about it, but there's this like phenomenon that I've been referring to as like streamer brain, where I'm like, oh, maybe I'll play that on a stream, and then I just never stream, so I
Right.
never play it. But maybe I'll
I
just
get
make
that.
that my like guilty pleasure, like, you know, just take a night and play Zelda. I think that sounds
Dude,
nice. That sounds like a good decompress.
I think that it'll hit you. If it hits you anything like it hit me, it'll like when I played it, it was like when you were playing Skyward Sword. And you just like crushed it in a weekend.
Are you serious?
And then
That's a weird
I
deep
was
cut.
struggling in it. That was a really weird deep cut.
I remember playing that game. It's such a weird memory. I remember playing that game and just like pounding those Starbucks like bottled
drink ones or the-
bottled
the
frappuccinos.
Frappuccinos?
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
pounding mocha frappuccinos while playing Skyward Sword. It's a weird weird memory.
Yeah.
That was a good game.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to
That
hear
was a fun
that
game.
Tears of the Kingdom was so good. So I have a question for you then.
Yes.
Would you? I hate to have you pick between which is your favorite. You know, it's like picking your favorite child.
Sure.
Which is an easy choice for you. But would you say? I don't even want to say which is your favorite of the two. I want to say which experience, like, do you think was, you know, more impactful, or like which was a more like, yeah, impactful experience
Between
Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom?
Tears of the Kingdom. It's not even a question.
Ooh, okay.
Especially like the it's not an original thought to me, but it's totally true. Like, Breath of the Wild walked so that Tears of the Kingdom could run.
Oh shit.
Breath of the Wild feels like a demo after you play Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh my God.
You see things in Tears of the Kingdom and you're like, why was this not in Breath of the Wild?
Okay,
Like,
so it's really just like they cranked it all up. They did do the sequel thing.
It's like it's a sequel that's not, it's not like it's not like Ragnarok, where Ragnarok was like, okay, it's God of War, it hasn't really,
I feel like
it's
Ragnarok wasn't
expanded.
different enough. I wanted them to add more shit.
It was like, it's a sequel, it's the same game, they've expanded here and there, and they've made other systems better, more fluid, more rewarding, more interesting in terms of like the world design and making it a bit more open. But ultimately it was, you know, if you've played God of War Ragnarok is that with like a new weapon.
Yeah, because a lot of people joke about sequels being like 1.5s, like DLCs.
No,
And I know-
this was like the sequel. It was
Okay.
such an enhancement.
Let's go.
From Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay, hell yeah. Well, I need to play this. God damn.
Yeah, I'll hype you up with that. I mean, it's massive, and it's not like busy work massive of a game. There's like a lot of like really fun, interesting stuff to do. Very little feels like a chore, especially when there's like gameplay loops that encourage you to explore area A, but in order to explore area A, you need to go through area B to get something, and once you go through there, then you can use you can reap the rewards to go to area C, and like it creates the cycle, and that's actually not an original observation of mine. Somebody called it out, and I was like, "Whoa, this just like blew my brain." That like this is this is how they want you to play the game.
Yeah, and I was about to say that's totally like the intended design. I imagine that they're like, what's it like, breadcrumbing, where they're like, let's scatter a bunch of interesting stuff around, and you will explore, but you'll go to whatever entices you. It's like, that's kind of neat.
And it's still free flowing, but it's not as open as Breath of the Wild was. You know, like in Breath of the Wild, the most minuscule spoiler for you here. In Breath of the Wild, you do the Great Plateau, and then you can choose to go fight Ganon.
Yeah.
In this one, you can't just go straight to Ganondorf. It doesn't let you.
Okay.
There's a bit of story you need to do, but it still feels very Breath of the Wild in terms of being very open, in terms of how do you approach that? What, you know, where do you want to go first? Or do you want to ignore that and go find side quests and go, like, I stumbled upon completing 2 main quests just by pure dumb luck.
Okay.
and so then, like, at some point in the game, it's like, oh wow, you've done this. Okay, cool. We should go do this. Oh, you've already done that. Okay, cool. Oh, you can also. We learned this. You can go do this. And you're like, wait, you've already done that. Oh, okay, cool.
Oh,
and then
I totally want to play through the game the same way. I totally want to be like, I've already done everything before I talk to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's cool.
So super recommend. I'm really I want to get to this topic in more depth. I want to hear what you've been playing, but this other topic is tomorrow there's a direct, and I'm fully expecting a DLC announcement because it's for Winter Games.
Okay. Well, I've heard reports that there wouldn't be any DLC for Tears of the Kingdom, and that they're
really?
I think there was a quote from maybe the director who said that they're already working on the next Zelda experience.
Oh, okay.
I can try to track that down, but if they do, I would be. I mean, the game sold so much; it was like the best-selling Zelda game of all time, or something.
Oh yeah, 8 days ago it says that it's not being produced.
But it would make sense to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not disappointed. I'll definitely go back and play it some more. I was fully expecting one though.
Thank goodness they're doing a bunch of Pokemon DLC instead. Haha. Yay.
Same studio.
Can you hear the excitement? I know.
Right.
But it's just like,
Uh,
can you hear the excitement in my voice? I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not excited by Pokemon DLC at all.
Yeah.
Oh.
What have you been playing though?
Ooh, very good question.
Update us.
I haven't been playing too much. I've been working on Go-Go Beasts a little bit, but I did find some time to after Inscryption, I played some of Dave the Diver. Have you heard of that game?
Oh, I've heard good things.
It was
yeah,
very
Cynthia's
fun.
playing that.
It's very good. I was playing it also, and I haven't beat it yet, but it has a very satisfying gameplay loop.
It seems kind of chill, right?
Yeah,
It's not like
it's very
it's
chill.
casual.
But
Yeah.
it gets stressful at times because there is
Sure.
combat.
Okay, that's been on my list.
It's a game that's got two sides to it. It's got the roguelike side where you're diving into the ocean, and the ocean layout changes every time you do a dive. And you're catching fish and you're bringing them back up. And that is because the other side of the game is you're running a restaurant. So you're preparing sushi and serving and selling the fish that you caught in the ocean the day prior.
This feels very Moonlighter.
It's very, yeah. I actually still I haven't played that game, but very...
Moonlighter's kind of the same loop. You go into these caves, you fight monsters, you get stuff, you bring it back, you sell it at your shop. Then that's how you enhance your town and your weapons and stuff.
Yeah,
But
it's very much
continue.
that. It's very much
Yeah.
that. But it's got a very chill vibe. It's got a good story too, or a decent story, we'll say. Well, it's pretty good. Pretty decent writing, pretty decent humor. I'd recommend it. It was a fun one. I was actually on the fence. Yeah, I was on the fence about recommending Dave the Diver instead of Undertale, but I was like, no, I'm sending you down this evil, this evil RPG rabbit hole.
Accursed, yeah.
Yeah, before you know it, you'll have Persona 4 sitting on your lap.
No.
Oh, another thing that I played recently and 100%ed was Vampire
Ooh.
Survivors.
Oh, did I tell you I had to stop playing that because my eyes were hurting?
Oh no, I totally believe it's such
Yeah.
there's so much shit going on in that. I had to send you a picture of it actually. When I was playing it, I turned on endless mode. And
man, that's rough.
I had so many items, and I was playing it kind of late at night, and I fell asleep and woke up, and my character was still alive. But I only fell asleep for like 20 minutes, so oh man, I'm gonna need to find this. But oh yeah, I think I found it. Here we go. Is this it? Is this the one when I was playing? I had so many kills and so much, like, it was insane. I had the most insane build I'd ever seen. Fuck. But yeah, it's a fun game. It's a good game.
Oh, it was such a fun game. I don't know if here's the truth is I don't know if it was hurting my eyes or if the sleep I was losing because of it was hurting my eyes.
Might be a combination there.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, it was definitely a very fun like game to just like unwind. Let's see. I think I've got the one. I'm going to share this with you. Let's see. I can take it and I can go to Discord. Yeah. And then how do I see who to share it to? Oh, this is weird.
Are you doing it from your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skeleton.
That's me.
There we go. So now if I send it, will it
Did you
send
just dox me? Did you just reverse dox me?
I think I did.
Wow. Dude, that is massive.
So that's me with 13 weapons.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, and 13. Yeah, and I couldn't die. Look at my health. I had
40, is
17,000.
that 47 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh. Wait. Did you say you fell asleep in this one or Dave the Diver?
In this one.
Is that 40? So you fell asleep for like half an hour or whatever?
Yeah. So Dave the Diver is one that you can't fall asleep while you're playing.
Okay. That's what I thought.
There's like sharks and shit that'll bite you.
Well, because for a second it's like, wait, is that 47 minutes or 47 hours? Like, did you fall asleep and then go to work and then remember about this like the next day?
Oh, I probably could have. I was actually playing on my laptop at the time, I think. Let me see if I can find another picture of it. Hee is good.
Yeah.
Is good. But yeah, Vampire Survivors is a fun one. I can't really think of anything else I've been playing. I played a little bit of I played it a while back, but Pizza Tower, that's a fun game. I think I referenced
Oh,
that
I've
in the
heard good
last
things about
one.
that.
That's a
Yeah.
good one. I played a little bit of that Dark Souls and Rage Quit.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a better question to ask towards the end of the year, but you did say something that got me thinking. 2023
Yeah.
has been a very good year for video games.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite so far? Like anything stands out? Is it Tears of the Kingdom?
I mean, 100%. I don't think anything's coming close to it. Um, but this is a good segue um, into what's next. And I mean, Starfield just came out, which I'm like, I never cared for Bethesda games. And it sounds like it's just another Bethesda game, but with like a different backdrop. But of things that I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward. I think the next best game that I'm going to play this year is going to be Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I'm very hyped for that. I
Like,
think Spider-Man 2 and God of War Ragnarok fill a similar place in my heart.
Sure,
Where
reasonably so.
It's the continuation to a game that I previously tested on, and I was like, what? So it's like I'm very familiar with the movement in this game and that game, so it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Spider-Man 2 is probably the next biggest game that I'm hyped for. One game that I've heard so many goddamn good things about, but I can't muster up the will to get into it just yet, because I'm like so bad about playing games. Like I said before, I haven't played Zelda. A lot of people's game of the year, 2023, Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about it.
A lot of people are saying it's game of the year, and I'm like, that's crazy because Zelda came out this year.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come down to what kind of player are you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have friends that are playing Baldur's Gate and they're loving it.
Yeah, John and
And
Amanda
that's-
have been playing
yeah.
it together. It's got like
Yeah.
co-op, and they're able
Yeah,
to
if
role
it's couch
play
co-op, I might buy it to play it with Ashlyn.
Yeah, maybe you should, because I think it just came to PlayStation like just a
Ooh.
couple days ago.
Or Steam Deck.
Ooh, there you go. One thing that I heard also that was really interesting, Baldur's Gate is a game that caused Microsoft to change their like developer policies. They previously required all games that shipped on Xbox to have full feature parity between Xbox Series S and X. And I hate the names of their consoles. It's so confusing. But the easy way to remember it is that the S is the weak one. S is the shitty one.
S is for sucks.
Yeah,
Oh,
S
hey,
is
we're going
for
the same way there.
stinky. So, Baldur's Gate 3, they originally couldn't put it on the Xbox Series S because split screen wouldn't work with it because it was too weak. Like, it couldn't handle it. They got split screen working on the X, but they required like a shit ton more like optimizations and various things to make it work on the S. And for that reason, they were saying, hey, we can't ship Baldur's Gate on Xbox for like until like 2024. But they had a meeting with like the heads of Xbox, and they said, hey, good news, we can just disable split screen on Series S, so we can ship on Xbox earlier. So it's kind of interesting because it's like this is a high profile game that people want to play on their Xbox, and it's like the demand is so high that Xbox is actually willing to like change their whole policy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I think it actually brings up an interesting kind of like point just about the game industry in general. There's a lot of games that are going through difficulty because they have to work for lower end consoles.
Yes.
So a lot of games that come out on Switch, it's like that's a struggle. I believe that Hogwarts Legacy still hasn't come out on Switch yet, but they said it was
Right.
going to.
It's supposed to be out this summer. I'm not sure if it actually ended up coming out though.
Yeah, so it's like it's such a pain in the ass to get it to run on a weaker console. But
Which did you hear the rumors about Switch 2?
I did. Supposedly, what was it? There was like Gamescom or something in Germany that happened
I just want
recently.
to say it sounded like you just went supposedly. And I'm sorry if that blows out anybody else's ears, but I tried to do that. It's just like you were really excited about it.
I was excited, man. I
You're saying
heard that they were actually showing it off to people recently. Like,
Yes.
the rumor is that it was like Gamescom in Germany or something.
They were showing Breath of the Wild running on it, which would hint at hopefully backwards compatibility. Which I would
Ooh.
imagine if it's a Switch 2, it's kind of like the inline.
I better be
That's
able
like,
to access my like digital like Nintendo account library. I better.
yeah.
Otherwise, I'm gonna violently poop.
It
I was
would
gonna do that
seem.
anyway.
Oh, oh. Without
But
lactose.
nope, no, 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 no.
I just like it needs to be backwards compatible. That's the way the industry is going. They're clearly trying to get emulators up and running for the old games so that people stop emulating on their own.
Yeah,
Uh, like it's just such yeah, it just makes sense.
the Switch
So,
is gonna become so good. I
yeah.
heard that the new Switch is actually pretty dang powerful too.
Yeah, I think seeing how strong like Steam Deck and what is it like Republic of Gaming made their own ROG from Asus. Is that Asus?
I
Yeah,
think so.
and someone else has another one.
Yeah, so much
The,
like
yeah, the ROG Ally.
portable.
Yeah,
It's crazy. Everything's going to be moving to be
alright.
portable. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be wild in 10 years. We're going to feel so old. When be like, back in my day, I had a big box I played games on.
Yeah, at this point, I'm like thinking, at what point do I stop upgrading my computer, let it die, and then just have a Steam Deck that I dock on a computer screen, and then get like a Mac Mini or something for my home computer.
Maybe.
Like,
Yeah. I guess it just depends
you
on
know,
your needs. Because, like,
yeah.
if you're doing, like, video editing or, like, other, like, game
Well,
making
developing
stuff
is
or-
developing is way more fun. It is way easier as a programmer on Mac, I think.
Okay.
Video editing aside, which I know obviously their M1 chip kicks ass for video.
Yeah, I imagine that even with, like, in the future, if there's, like, an upgraded Steam Deck, that could just, like, replace people's computers entirely.
Yeah. So with the cost of what a top of the line graphics card costs these days, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Like what's
crazy.
a 4090 cost?
Oh, it's gonna be insane. It's gonna be like $1,200 or something.
1600 on Nvidia's website. That's like been scalped.
Oh,
That's Nvidia's website
why
for the
gra-
4090.
why Gramfix so costy?
I know, right?
I think I still have a 1080. I haven't got a new one.
I got a 2080 Super, and I'm rolling with that for a long time.
Let's go. I got a PS5.
Yeah, buddy.
That'll do. I
I'm
I'm so bad about
Go ahead.
playing my game consoles because I prefer to be glued to my computer because I'm like used to having like the two monitors left and right and like doing like a YouTube video here while like working on a thing there, and like going out on my couch and like playing a game in front of the TV and not having like a secondary mean of like dopamine feels like wrong. Although I'm certain if I play Zelda, I'd love it.
There were parts of Zelda where I was like, when I was exploring something that I was like, this isn't super engaging, I just put on a podcast.
That's the vibe.
But dude, when I wasn't playing Zelda, especially in the first month, literally 4 to 5 weeks, I was listening to every podcast, every game podcast that I liked that was talking about Zelda, even just random ones that were like, I was just so hooked on it, and it was not even spoilery stuff. It's like I was trying to find out how to do something because that's the last thing I wanted.
Okay.
But it was top notch, dude.
Yeah, it was magic.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that there's something so cool about that, and I regret not being more in on that. Like, I'm really bad about following, like, what's it, the zeitgeist, you know? When it's like, if everybody's talking about it and everybody's in on it, everybody's living and breathing it, I'm so bad about, like, getting in during that magical moment, you know? Like,
I feel like you intentionally avoid it.
I kind of do. I don't know.
Because I mean, like subconsciously, maybe. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of the same way. I don't normally jump into things. Like
But it seems so cool. Like, everybody's
Like,
talking about
yeah.
it. Like, if you're playing it and then you go online, like, let's say you go on TikTok, and then all of a sudden you're watching a bunch of TikToks about Zelda, and you're like, holy shit,
Dude,
I'm living and
so
breathing
many.
Zelda.
it was so good. All of the people like messing around and killing themselves in the
Yeah.
dumbest ways,
And
or
that's like a
crucifying the Koroks.
That's like a magical moment in time that will never happen again. And that's like kind of cool. Like, in this month, like this month of 2023 was Zelda month. And like, you can look
Yes.
back on that like forever. And that's like a cool magical experience.
Yeah, I need to like look at my calendar, but I'm pretty sure that it was a solid 6 weeks that was just like dedicated to Zelda.
Yeah.
Like we traveled to Canada, and I was like, all right, when we're not when we're not doing stuff, I'm gonna be playing this.
You were like, this place is cool, but it's
Airbnb.
It's not Hyrule.
I mean,
I want to travel there.
In my defense,
Yeah.
we were definitely in a. I'm trying to find out when we went to Canada, but it's not in my calendar now.
Canada.
We were
Did you get Tim
at
Hortons?
a ski resort in the summer. We did.
Let's go. I heard it went downhill now.
I don't know. It was fine.
I've got a lot of Canadian coworkers that are like, yeah, Tim Hortons sucks now, and I'm like, oh,
Wow. Unbelievable. How sad.
blasphemous.
But yeah, it was like, could not put it down. Love that game.
That's cool.
Another game I'm looking forward to cautiously is Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Interesting. Yeah, that one's. They said they're going back to basics, and I've heard people say like, "Yep, it is back to the classics."
Yeah.
I
mean,
I hope it's good.
I expect it to be good. I don't expect it to be like mind blowing though.
I've got a weird hot take. This is just me being a cynical douchebag though, which is yeah. I'm kind of expecting it to be bad. And
really,
I think that's because I think most things Ubisoft touches lately have been bad. They've canceled a lot of stuff. They've kind of mismanaged a lot of stuff. And I feel like I don't trust them to do good stuff. But I don't know. Maybe that's unfair to the developers because, like, I think it's a different team handling Mirage than it's like a different studio that then did like Valhalla and stuff.
Yeah, Valhalla was, dude. I don't know how you can take a game, put you into what's the mythical Norse planet that I can't think of right now? The realm.
Valhalla.
Asgard.
Yeah.
and it'd be boring. It's Ubisoft Bordeaux. I don't know what they've done, but they're a smaller team, I think.
Okay.
I think it's more of a support studio, is what it looks like on Wikipedia.
Okay. I'm just doing the safe thing that like requires no critical thinking. I would much rather be like optimistic, but
dude, I held so many shots wrong about Tears of the Kingdom. I was like, hot take. It's gonna be this. Hot take. It's gonna be this.
Yeah. I just think that like it's safer and easier to say it's gonna suck. So that way, if I'm wrong, then it's good. But if I'm right, then I can be like, well, I was right actually.
I mean, Odyssey was a fantastic game. Valhalla kind of like.
Yeah,
I don't know if it just got too grindy or what, but it just got boring.
I kind of hated Odyssey actually. I thought that one was boring also, and it made me not want to try Valhalla. I kind of liked Origins though.
Origins was cool. I think the Odyssey structure, the storyline structure, and the multiple main stories were really fun. I went through and I assassinated everybody from like the cult. I went through the whole thing, which I didn't feel like I really had to. I don't really care for the story outside of the what's the machine that takes you in.
Oh, Animus.
The Animus. Yes, thank you.
The
I was like the Anubis.
Yeah. No, that's Origins.
Yeah.
Oh man, I will never ever get over the shock that I felt when I was playing Assassin's Creed Origins and then fucking Final Fantasy characters showed up out of nowhere. I was like, this is so insane.
Yeah.
Oh man, speaking of Final Fantasy, it got me thinking about how in Final Fantasy 15 they did a crossover with Cup Noodle. Cup Noodle's such a brand that's everywhere. Did you see the new Cup Noodle news that came out recently?
What?
I know it's an insane segue. I'm sorry that I took you on that wild quest.
No, I'm so intrigued.
Cup Noodle is making gamer cup noodles that have caffeine in them.
Oh, I did see that. I thought it was like a joke or something. I thought it was like
so
a 4chan post.
It looks gross. Because in my mind, I'm certain it's not going to taste like it, but in my mind, I'm imagining noodles just dunked in Monster Energy. There's no way it's going to taste like that, but like, I don't want caffeine in my food.
Yeah,
Fuck
that's
you.
weird, dude. Yeah, aren't they like starting it in Japan? Is that the thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of just want to have one, but I also don't want to eat it, but I kind of want to have it.
Just put it on display.
Yeah,
show
just
it to
to
your
have
kids.
it, just to display that I am in fact a gamer. And they didn't believe me. Well, that'll prove I'm wrong when I show them my noodles. Well, actually, no, that sounds wrong. When I showed the kids no, I'm not gonna finish that joke. No,
Don't even.
don't even. I'll stop. Holy
Well,
moly! But yeah, that's about it for games that I've been playing.
okay.
And games that I'm excited for. I want to play Pikmin 4, but I don't know, man. There's
Yeah,
too
it
many
was
games
like
to
on my
play.
radar.
It looks fun.
Yeah,
I
I'm
love
gonna.
Pikmin. I love Pikmin,
Yeah,
but not enough to
it
play the
seems
new
like
one.
it seems like it scratched that itch for me. That's the problem with being an adult, though, right?
It sucks. Fuck.
Like you work 40 plus hours a week, and then you have to have a social life and have to do all this other stuff. Like for some reason, I had way more time to play video games as a kid, even though I was in school for most of the day. And when I wasn't in school and I wasn't doing Kumon, I was doing sports. And yet, I found a way to play Kingdom Hearts 2 4 or 5 times every year, basically.
Yeah, I love Kingdom Hearts 2. It's so
best.
good. I think one thing that might be like a little bit deep, I kind of like regret playing so many games in college. So like
Yeah.
I almost feel like I'm like making up for lost time somehow. Like I'm developing stuff now because I wish I did it in college.
Yeah, in college we were pretty content with just coasting.
Playing League.
Yeah, I mean
Although
we were
that
hanging
was,
out
that
though.
was a
It
valuable experience. We learned some stuff.
It was.
I still
I mean,
tell
we
people
also
the
made
story about
friends.
how we met Ezreal that one time at laser tag. I still tell people
Yeah.
that story.
Yeah.
I have.
I mean, it's also like how we like solidified a lot of friendships, not just amongst us, obviously, but like with other people.
yeah, one of my previous roommates, Ryan, super cool dude. He actually knows a lot of like rioters as well, and I feel like you and him would really hit it off. He told stories about how he used to roommate with Zyrene.
Oh wow.
And how he knew Freak and stuff, or he like knew somebody who knew Freak, and like I think he said he was friends with like the like lead like director of Arcane.
Oh.
I was like, holy shit! Yeah, I feel like you would definitely hit it off with him.
Yeah.
So much League.
Yeah.
I haven't played League in a while.
Honestly, they're I would have told you to download it for the new arena game mode, but it's seasonal, so
Oh
it's just 2v2s. It's super fun.
man,
Yeah.
that's stinky.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think I've got any other games that I'm looking forward to. I thought Hades 2 was going to come out this year, which seemed ambitious, but it doesn't seem like it. If that's the case. So
Yeah, I'd rather they just take
good.
their sweet time.
that's fine with me. Yeah,
So
so
many
expect in
games.
2024. That's not made in Unity, is it?
It better not be. It might be. Let me see. If it is, then expect a delay.
Yeah.
Oh, Hades was made. Wait, was Hades made in a custom?
It might be.
Interesting.
Custom game engine. Yeah.
Let's go. Okay. Cool. So Hades 2, yeah, Hades 2 will be the same game engine, I imagine, just like further enhanced. Man, so many
Yeah.
games. Friggin' Hollow Knight. I still have to beat Hollow Knight, but I totally think that
That's a fun game.
Silk Song is going to be delayed now, probably because of this.
Yeah.
Cult of the
I'd
Lamb.
imagine.
Should I like buy it and play it now? Because they're talking about just taking it down.
Yeah. I don't know if they're
insane.
if they're joking or not, but it's a fun game. And I want to do the DLC soon. I just want to get new experiences in.
Yeah, I'm sending you a funny meme about it.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
wait, one more
yeah.
thing. The CEO,
Yeah.
The CEO sold shares before the news broke.
I was gonna say that, but I didn't know if that was like news, if that was a fact, or if that was a meme, or if that was some like I don't know.
It's a fact.
But that's wild.
Throw him in jail. Insider trading. Fuck them. Oh yeah, the people,
Believe it or
who
not,
made,
it's
the
good to
people
jail.
who made Among Us use Unity. Okay, anyway, that's just a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I think we can sign off right about now. This is a long one,
Yeah.
but a good one. We had a lot of stuff to talk about.
Had a lot of fun rambling at the end there about just
I love just insane
Random
rambling.
stuff.
I think like
Yeah.
as it gets towards like the hour 30 mark and like I run out
go
of
off
my
the rails.
Yeah, I run out of my LaCroix, I start getting loopy, I start seeing demons. It's great.
Ooh. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for us here, and
Yes.
we'll be back for me to dunk on how crappy Undertale is.
Hell yeah, I'm very excited to hear how much you hate it. I'm looking forward to reading your negative Steam review on it. Yeah.
No VO.
So yeah, say that it had bad UX and there was no VO, and definitely talk.
Poor friend.
Well, and also just like talk about like things and say that they don't exist. You know, like mention a system in the game and just say it doesn't exist. That'd be cool.
Yeah, there's just no choices.
Yeah, this game is asinine. What's this, Candyland? Undertale is kind. It kind of is Candyland in a way, actually. That is a deep cut. I need to revisit that game.
I'm interested to get into it, so I'll be definitely hitting that up in the next few weeks.
Hell yeah! Hey, no rush. You know, I took a couple months, so you can take as long as you need to play it. But in the meantime, I'll try playing some Zelda too.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as you get into it.
Hell yeah! Maybe I should try to like stream it or something, so that way you can see my thoughts.
Yes,
and you can smell my thoughts too.
I tune in every night.
Let's fucking go. Right on.
All right.
That'll do it then. Yeah. Let's do a little outro.
Yeah.
Do you wanna sign us off?
Yeah. I don't know what to say. So thanks for listening tolerating our rambling. I thank you, Cameron, for playing Inscryption and for recommending Undertale. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you so much for recommending Inscryption. I had a grand old time. It was a blast.
Thank you for thanking me for recommending Inscryption.
And thank you for listening to this podcast. This is the end now. Goodbye.
Bye.